All right, let's talk about a number that's way, way more important than what you see in your bank app. I'm talking about your financial runway. See, it's not a measure of your wealth, it's a measure of your freedom. And we're going to break down what that actually means.
So let me ask you something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. How long could you actually survive? I mean, if everything just stopped tomorrow, would you make it a month? A week? Or are we talking you're in trouble by next Tuesday?
Just picture it, your main source of income, poof, gone tomorrow morning. You know, for most people, that's not just a bad day. It's the starting gun for a countdown to total financial disaster. And look, this isn't about being a pessimist, not at all. It's about being prepared. Okay, that little knot of panic in your stomach just thinking about that is your survival clock ticking. And it's controlled by a number that most of us completely ignore, mostly because we're all too busy staring at the wrong one. You see, we've all been trained to look at our bank balance and think, okay, that's my security. But honestly, it's kind of a lie. That number is static. It's just a snapshot in time, and it tells you nothing about your burn rate. You know, how much cash you're torching every single month just to live. The truth, the real number, is your financial runway. It's a dynamic metric that measures your life in days. And that, my friends, is what real freedom looks like. All right, so how do we figure out this all-important number? Well, it's actually simpler than you'd think. But fair warning, the math, it is brutally honest. Let's get right into the financial runway formula. First up, you need to know your total liquid savings. And I mean liquid. This is the cash you can get your hands on, like right now. We are not talking about the equity in your house or your 401k. This is your immediate break glass in case of emergency survival fund. Okay, so you take that total amount of cash and you're just going to do one simple thing with it. You divide it by your monthly survival cost. Now, this part is absolutely crucial. This is not what you want to spend. On dinners out, a bunch of streaming services, that kind of thing. Nope, this is what you must spend to keep the lights on, a roof over your head, and food on the table. The bare bones. And voila, the answer is your runway, measured in months. So let's say you have $6,000 in savings and your bare bones survival cost is $3,000 a month. Simple math, you have a 2-month runway. That number right there, that's your real freedom clock. And this way of thinking completely changes how you see your spending. That $100 impulse buy on a Friday night, it's not just $100. If your daily survival cost is, say, $50, you've got to realize what you just did. You literally just traded 2 full days of your future freedom for a quick, temporary dopamine hit. Okay, now let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about you or me. This is a massive, massive societal problem. We're about to put this whole runway idea into a pretty startling national context. 37%. Just look at that number for a second. Let it sink in, because it represents a really shocking reality for a huge chunk of the population. That is the percentage of adults who cannot cover a simple $400 emergency. Think about that. More than a third of the country is living in what you might call financial purgatory. Their runway is basically zero. So for them, a flat tire, an unexpected trip to the vet, that's not an annoyance. It's a full-blown life-altering crisis. But here's the beautiful thing about thinking in terms of runway. Building even a 1-month runway changes the entire game. It gives you a buffer. It breaks that awful cycle of panic and debt. Suddenly, what used to be a disaster just becomes a minor inconvenience. It's a total mindset shift. Okay, so we've laid out the problem. Let's talk solutions. How do we double our freedom time? The fastest way to extend your runway isn't always about earning more money. It's about playing smarter. And that brings us to something called the 60% rule. The idea is simple. Your goal is to get all your absolute necessities, your rent, car, groceries, that stuff, to take up 60% or less of your take-home pay. Why? Because that frees up the other 40% for everything else. Savings, fun stuff, and most importantly, building that runway. Just remember, the quickest way to double your freedom isn't to work twice as hard, it's to lower your burn rate. And here's the thing. Mathematics doesn't care about your ego. It just doesn't. That flashy car with a monster monthly payment, that's not a symbol of success. It's an anchor tied to your ankle, shortening your runway every single month. The math is simple and unforgiving. The lower your fixed costs, the longer you can last and the more free you truly are. Now, when you really start to extend that runway, something amazing happens. It goes beyond just financial security. You get this profound psychological shift. And that's when you unlock the power of what's often called screw you money. So, what is screw you money? It's when you have a runway of 6 months or more. This is the point where you have the power to make decisions from a place of logic, not a place of fear. It's so much more than just being able to quit a toxic job. It's a fundamental change in how you operate. You start making choices out of creativity, not desperation. It's the freedom to take a smart risk, to finally start that side hustle, or just to breathe, knowing you are not a slave to your next paycheck. So, where do you stash this runway fund? You need a runway vault. It has to be accessible, but not too accessible. A high-yield savings account is perfect for this. It's not the stock market, and it's definitely not your daily checking account. And the key to making it grow? Automation. You just set up a recurring transfer, it doesn't matter how small, and you let the system do the heavy lifting for you. Okay, so what can you do right after you finish this? Here are your first steps to freedom. Step 1, go audit your spending for the last 30 days. Be honest. Step 2, calculate your real survival cost. Find that essential number. And step 3, open up that vault account. Seriously, just open it and put your first $10 in there today. That's how you start. And that brings us to the final, and maybe most important question. Imagine you've done it. You have 365 days of freedom banked up. The goal isn't just to survive anymore, right? It's to thrive. Once you've bought yourself that much time, the real question has nothing to do with money. It's, what do you do next? What do you choose to do with your life?